we have breaking news here on CNN. Again, I want to welcome our viewers here in the United States and around the world. It's on the mystery of Flight 370. We have just learned here on CNN that the plane was way off course when it went missing. This information is coming to us from a senior Malaysian Air Force official. They've traced the last signs of the plane to a very small island off the Straits of Malacca. It was then that they lost contact with it. If the Air Force information is correct, again, this is a big development. It means that the plane had almost done a complete U-turn and was flying into the opposite direction from its scheduled destination, and it was last seen in the Malacca Straits about 2:40 a.m., 2 hours after it took off from the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur. The question now, why? And of course, the question is, where is this plane? One expert telling CNN that while mechanical explanations are still possible, those explanations are narrowing very quickly, opening the possibility that someone turned off the transponder deliberately inside this cockpit.
If this report is true, it means a couple of things. One is, was there someone unauthorized in the cockpit, ordered the transponder turned off, ordered the plane to fly, a 90-degree turn off course? Second is, did one of the pilots do it themselves?
Okay, so based on its speed and how much fuel was on the plane, Flight 370 could have been in the skies for about 7 hours. That means that once this plane went off the grid and lost its radar signal, it could potentially be anywhere within this 4,000-mile radius that you're seeing on your screen. Our senior international correspondent, of course, is Nick Robertson, and Richard Quest is here as well, and we're trying to get our Andrew Stevens up. He is in Kuala Lumpur. First, I want to go to Nick Robertson. Nick, you're over in London. You have been covering this. What is the reaction to this? What's your reaction?
Well, one of the questions I have at this time, and Richard, I think, has excellent insights here, and we'll be able to jump in, but one of the key question is obviously who turned the aircraft, and was it mechanical? Was it a mechanical / electrical issue that caused the transponder to go down? Let's say that it was, and let's say the pilot has done what the experts say, which is turn to try to fly back home. We're told that it was a clear night. He has flown right across Malaysia and on into the sea. One would have expected if he was trying to get back and had some semblance of control over the aircraft, he would have recognized the landmass. This is a pilot, as Richard knows, who has over 18,000 hours of flying experience, would have seen at least some lights below him because he would have been looking for them because perhaps his navigation equipment wasn't working, against speculation, but not gone off into the sea. This is the question that I have now.
Stand by, Richard.
The issue of why and where and how, we don't know. To the point that Nick is saying, if there was a mechanical failure and the pilot had turned back, did he realize where he was? Yes, he would have flown, Nick, across the peninsula at its narrowest point, but they could have been dealing with all sorts of issues. For instance, one person's just been asking me about the transponder may have stopped, but what about all these ACAR systems and all these other reporting systems?
Because this is the most sophisticated.
All modern planes send signals all the time. The failure to get those signals either suggests somebody interfered with it and switched it off, or total power failure, and therefore these systems switched themselves off. Okay. And that is entirely possible. I've been talking to pilots.
But then why no communication? Why no, we are in trouble. We are over whatever. We are losing power. Why not that?
We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, with these questions, eventually you are forced into the position of saying, we don't know. The biggest issue is why, for me, is how did this plane fly for an hour and 10 and nobody on the ground spotted that a 777 MH370 with a filed flight plan to Beijing had done a dogleg turn and was now going in an opposite direction?
So to either of you, our colleague Miguel Marquez just emailed me and said, in the Andaman or Indian Oceans, with a transponder off, how far can a plane go without being detected on radar in that part of the world?
It can't. I'm going to jump in straight in. It can't. Look at the map. Look at the map. That is going straight over Malaysia. Malaysia has pretty much universal. There's a couple of areas in the Andaman Sea and a couple of areas in the Straits of Malacca off the west side which don't have radar coverage. But the vast majority has radar coverage. There is no way that they wouldn't have been covered by the majority of that trip.
Okay.
And if not by then, by other countries in the region.
Okay. Another colleague, I don't know if he wants me to name him, says they will find the debris floating in the morning. I expect this to wrap up first light with a floating trail of evidence because they have simply been looking in the wrong body of water.
My experience suggests that could well be the case. The reality is I have absolutely no idea because you could end up with a situation here where this may have come down over land.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
That was from Drew Griffin, by the way. And then someone says, this is a viewer, says, why didn't passengers make any calls during that hour and a half?
They may
because
have.
if you're flying, no one has heard. No one has heard from anyone on the plane. People with loved ones on the plane, they're calling their loved ones. It's ringing.
Whoa. You don't know what the condition was on the aircraft. They may not have been aware of it. Mm-hmm. There may have been an extremist. There may not have been. The passengers on the board may not have been aware.
Yeah. Good point. Nick Robertson? Is Nick still there?
They may not have been able... Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they may not have been able to call if there was an...